Hey there, veterans and service members. Steve was thrilled about buying his first home. He found the perfect house, a $325,000 bungalow in a great neighborhood. And the seller accepted his offer, and he was feeling confident. But when the bank sent him his official loan estimate, he was shocked. The closing cost totaled $10,000, and even though his VA loan didn't require a down payment, he hadn't accounted for those additional costs, which are typically 3 to 5% of the loan amount. Now, with only a few $1,000s saved up, Steve had to cancel his contract. Now, after a frustrating experience with the bank, he reached out to us at NewCastle Home Loans, and we showed him how to buy a home with no down payment and reduce his out-of-pocket expenses, making his purchase more affordable. Now, in this video, I'll explain the typical closing costs for a VA loan, and I'll show you how you can reduce your out-of-pocket costs with a little planning and the right mortgage lender. So if you want to make your VA home purchase more affordable, then stick around. What are the typical closing costs for a VA loan? Closing costs are the fees you pay to finalize your home purchase, separate from the purchase price. Let me break it down. First, the VA funding fee is a mandatory charge that supports the VA loan program. For first-time home buyers without a down payment, it's usually 2.15% of the loan amount. Veterans receiving disability compensation are exempt. The good news, you can finance the funding fee into your loan, meaning it won't come out of pocket at closing. Next, the lender's loan origination fee. Lenders charge up to 1% of the loan amount for processing the loan. It's a standard fee, but it can vary depending on the lender. Discount points are extra fees you pay at closing to reduce your interest rate and lower your monthly payment. Credit report. Lenders charge you between $50 to $200 to check your credit. Appraisal fee. The VA requires an appraisal, which will cost between $400 and $1,200 depending on the type of property you're buying and the location. And finally, you should expect to pay for inspections, title, and taxes. Fees for termite inspections, well and septic system checks, title services, and government recording fees can cost from $2,000 to $6,000. Now, all of these fees add up quickly and can be a big surprise, as they're not something you typically think about when using a VA loan. How to reduce your VA loan closing costs. One way to reduce your costs is through a seller credit. This is when the seller agrees to contribute a certain amount towards your closing expenses, lowering your out-of-pocket costs. The VA allows the seller to cover all of your closing costs, including a reasonable discount points up to 2% of the loan amount. And here's how it works. First, estimate your closing costs, and I'll show you an easy way to do this later in the video. Next, negotiate with the seller. Talk to your real estate agent about the possibility of the seller covering your closing costs. Then, include the seller credit in the sales contract. For example, Steve found a home listed for $335,000. Now, he could have offered $325,000 and the seller would have accepted without paying any of Steve's closing costs. Instead, Steve offered the list price of $335,000 and requested a $10,000 seller credit to cover his closing costs. The seller agreed, and Steve closed without needing any additional cash to close. Keep in mind that while the seller credit reduces your immediate out-of-pocket expenses, you're financing the closing costs into the loan amount, which increases your loan amount and monthly payments. If you're using a VA loan with no down payment, the home's appraised value must be at least as much as the purchase price. Lenders base your loan on the lower of the sales price or the appraised value. This means you cannot inflate the purchase price to cover a seller credit. For example, if you agree to buy a home for $335,000, but the appraisal comes in lower at $330,000, your loan amount will be based on the $330,000. Estimating your closing costs can be tricky, especially as a first-time home buyer. But don't worry, NewCastle Home Loans has you covered with our VA loan calculator. It's the perfect tool to help you view current rates and get an accurate estimate of your closing costs. And here's how it works. First, visit our website at newcastle.loans. Next, enter the property zip code, the purchase price, your down payment, if any, and your credit score. Then you'll see the current VA rate, monthly payment, and the estimated closing costs, including the VA funding fee, loan origination fee, and more. Now with this tool, you can plan ahead, make smarter decisions, and be confident that you know exactly what to expect when buying a home. Plus, you can contact our team of VA home loan experts at NewCastle Home Loans. We're here to help guide you through the process and find the best deal possible. So if you're ready to take the next step in your home buying journey, click the link below to view current rates and closing costs. Let us help you make your home buying experience simple, smooth, and affordable. Thanks for watching, and we look forward to helping you buy your first home with confidence.